Retirement is often pictured as the golden season of life. You imagine mornings with a warm cup of coffee on the porch, neighbors smiling as they pass by, and a sense of ease after decades of hard work. For many of us, that dream points toward moving into a 55-plus community, a place advertised as safe, simple, and full of fun. It sounds like paradise on paper, but what if the very place that promises freedom and happiness could slowly take those things away? What if behind the gates, rules and hidden costs turn comfort into stress? In this video, we are going to uncover 8 hidden truths that many retirees only discover when it is too late. These are not just numbers or fine print. They are real stories of people who felt trapped, isolated, or burdened by surprise expenses. My goal is not to scare you, but to open your eyes so that you can choose wisely and protect the life and joy you have worked so hard to earn. Truth 1. Healthcare isn't always close. When we talk about retirement, most people dream of peace and beauty. Wide open skies, quiet streets, neighbors who smile when you pass. Many 55-plus communities are built far from the busy city, tucked into quiet corners where the land is cheaper and there is space for golf courses, pools, and trails. It sounds perfect, but here is the truth no one likes to bring up. Healthcare is not always close by, and when you are older, every mile matters. I once sat across the table from a woman named Linda, who had tears in her eyes as she told me about her husband. They had chosen a community in South Carolina that promised peace and quiet. They loved it at first. Morning walks, friendly neighbors, Friday night bingo. Then one day, her husband fell. He was 78 years old, and his hip shattered. She called 911. The ambulance came, but the hospital was over 30 minutes away. The ride was long, and the pain unbearable. She remembers watching the clock tick on the dashboard, knowing that every minute counted. He survived, but complications dragged on for months. Linda told me, "If I had known how far the hospital was, we never would have moved here." This is not rare. Many of these communities are purposely built outside city limits because land is cheaper and it feels safer. But when you are 70, 80, or 90 years old, safety is not just quiet streets. Safety is knowing help is close when you need it. Brochures rarely talk about this. They show a sparkling pool, but they never say, the nearest emergency room is 25 minutes away. You cannot gamble with time when your heart, your brain, or your bones are at risk. A heart attack does not wait for traffic to clear. A stroke cannot be put on pause while the ambulance drives through winding suburban roads. So, here is the advice. Before you let yourself be charmed by palm trees or pickleball courts, take a map and check. How far is the nearest full hospital? Not just urgent care, not just a clinic, but a hospital with an emergency room, surgeons and specialists. Drive it yourself at noon and again at rush hour. Ask residents if they have ever needed emergency care and how long it took. Their answers will tell you more than any sales pitch. Retirement should bring peace of mind, not fear. If paradise is too far from help, then it may not be paradise at all. Truth 2. Hidden financial traps. Money is the foundation of retirement. You worked for decades, saved carefully, and planned your golden years. That is why hidden financial traps inside some 55-plus communities are so dangerous. They do not just surprise you, they can wreck your sense of security. Let us investigate how this happens. On paper, the community promises a low monthly HOA fee. That fee may start at $300. It covers landscaping, pool maintenance, maybe even cable television. Sounds fair. But here is what the brochures do not highlight. Those fees almost never stay the same. Inflation, labor costs, insurance hikes. Suddenly, that $300 turns into $400, then $500, And once you live there, you have no choice but to pay. The second trap is something called a special assessment. This is the big one. Imagine the clubhouse roof starts leaking, or the roads need major repairs, or the insurance company demands upgrades after a hurricane. If the HOA reserves are not strong enough, and often they are not, every homeowner gets a bill. Not a small bill, but sometimes $5,000, $10,000, even more. You cannot refuse. You cannot negotiate. You simply must pay. I remember meeting a couple from Georgia who were forced to write a check for $7,000 after only 1 year of living in their dream retirement community. Their HOA claimed the pool needed a full resurfacing. The couple had just spent most of their savings on moving and furniture. That unexpected fee broke them financially. They told me, "We felt betrayed. It was like a trap we never saw coming." This is why financial transparency matters. Before buying, demand to see the HOA's financial statements. Look for reserves, budgets, and recent assessments. If they refuse to show you, or if the numbers do not make sense, that is your red flag. A healthy HOA should have money set aside for future repairs, not rely on sudden bills to cover emergencies. In retirement, every dollar matters. You deserve to use your savings for joy, for family, for travel, not to patch up a clubhouse roof you never wanted in the first place. Hidden financial traps are real, and they can turn your dream home into a burden. Truth 3. Aging in place isn't always possible. When you choose a home in retirement, you hope it will be your forever home, the place where you can rest, celebrate holidays, watch grandchildren visit, and stay until the end of your days. Many 55-plus communities sell that dream. They call themselves the perfect place to age in place. But the truth is harsher. Aging in place is not always possible. Why? Because time changes everything. At 60, you may walk the stairs with ease. At 75, those same stairs feel like mountains. At 85, the bathroom you once thought was stylish may feel like a hazard, with slippery tiles and narrow doors that cannot fit a wheelchair. Many homes in these communities are not designed for the realities of deep aging. Then there are the rules. Some communities quietly limit in-home care providers, or they do not allow medical equipment to be visible outside the home. Imagine needing oxygen tanks or a hospital bed and finding out the HEE restricts them because they ruin the aesthetic. That is not aging in place. That is being forced out just when you need stability most. I knew a man named Harold. He and his wife bought into a retirement community in Florida, believing it would be their last move. He loved the golf course. She loved the book club. But when Harold developed Parkinson's, their dream collapsed. They needed in-home care, but the community resisted. The sidewalks were not wheelchair-friendly, the bathroom doors too narrow. Within 3 years, they had to move again, leaving behind friends and money. Harold's wife said to me, "We were promised forever. What we got was temporary." This truth is painful, but it must be faced. Before choosing a home, walk through it and ask, will this space work when I am 80? When I am 90? Check if the community allows modifications like ramps or wider doors. Ask about policies for home health aides. Do not rely on promises. Demand real answers. Retirement is not just about today's comfort, but tomorrow's reality. You deserve a home that adapts with you, not one that pushes you out when life gets harder. If a community cannot support you through every stage of aging, then it is not a forever home. It is only a stop along the way. Truth 4. Family and visitors. Restrictions. For many of us, family is the heart of retirement. The joy of hearing children's laughter in the house, of having grandkids sleep over during the summer, of gathering everyone under one roof for Thanksgiving or Christmas. That is what makes a house feel alive. But here is the truth that catches many retirees off guard. In some 55-plus communities, family and visitors are not always welcome. I once spoke with a grandmother named Carol. She had moved into a gated community in Florida, believing it would be perfect. The brochures promised safety, peace, and community spirit. But when summer came, she invited her grandchildren to stay for 3 weeks. After the second week, she received a notice from the HOA. The rules allowed children to stay no more than 14 consecutive days, 1 day longer, and she was in violation. Imagine the heartbreak of telling your grandkids, "I am sorry you have to go home. Grandma's neighborhood won't allow you here anymore." Carol told me that moment broke her spirit. Many of these rules are written to protect the lifestyle of older residents, but what they really do is separate families. They turn simple joys, like letting your daughter stay over while she recovers from surgery, or hosting your son's family for the holidays, into stressful negotiations with the HOA. Some even ban extended visits from adult children, fearing that they might move in. Ask yourself, is it truly retirement freedom if you cannot welcome your own family without asking permission? Is it paradise if you must count the days your grandchildren can stay? For many retirees, these restrictions feel like chains, invisible at first, but painfully tight when you need family the most. Before you buy, read the guest policy line by line. Ask about overnight rules, length of stay, and holiday exceptions. Talk to current residents. Ask them how the rules are enforced. Because in the end, retirement should not be about fences that keep out the people you love most. Truth 5. Resale nightmare. When you buy a home in a 55-plus community, you may think you are investing not only in a lifestyle but also in value. After all, homes are real estate, and real estate has always been a safe bet, right? Here is the hidden truth. Selling a home in these communities can be a nightmare. The first problem is the limited buyer pool. By law, buyers must be at least 55 years old. That means you cut out entire generations of potential buyers. In a normal neighborhood, young families, professionals, or investors might compete for your home. In a restricted community, you wait for someone older, someone who not only qualifies, but also happens to like that particular neighborhood. The second problem is competition. Across states like Florida, Arizona, and the Carolinas, new 55-plus developments are being built every year. Shiny new homes, updated amenities, brand new clubhouses. Buyers who are shopping often prefer the new over the old. That leaves older communities struggling to attract attention, even if the homes are still beautiful. I met a woman named Susan who tried to sell her villa in Florida. She listed it for 8 months, with not a single serious offer. Potential buyers told her they preferred the newer community just a few miles down the road. Susan finally sold, but only after dropping her price by nearly 30%. That loss hurt her retirement fund and delayed her plans to move closer to her children. The third problem is urgency. Sometimes life forces you to sell quickly. Health issues, family needs, or financial strain. In those moments, a limited market can be devastating. Instead of cashing out quickly, you may find yourself trapped, waiting, lowering the price, and losing money you cannot afford to lose. Before you buy, check resale history in the community. How long do homes stay on the market? Are prices rising or falling? Do not rely on promises from sales reps. Look at real numbers, because the dream of retirement can turn into a burden if you cannot sell when you need to. A home should give you options, not take them away. Truth 6. Privacy and freedom lost. One of the sweetest dreams of retirement is freedom. The freedom to wake up when you want, to plant the flowers you love, to decorate your porch, to invite friends over. But in many 55-plus communities, that freedom is quietly taken away, little by little, through rules and watchful eyes. Imagine being fined because your dog barked too loud. Imagine being told you cannot plant roses because they do not match the neighborhood design. Imagine receiving a letter because your grandkid's bicycle was left outside for an afternoon. These are not fantasies. They are real stories from real retirees who discovered that paradise came with strict limits. I remember a man named George from Arizona. His neighbor complained that George's golf cart was painted the wrong shade of blue. The HOA issued a warning and demanded he repaint it to match community standards. George laughed at first, but the second letter came with a fine of $100. He told me, "I felt like I was back in the military, only this time I had no choice but to obey." The other part of this truth is privacy. Some residents with too much time on their hands become watchdogs. They notice when your lights are on, when your guests arrive, even how long your car is parked in the driveway. They report every detail to the HOA. Instead of friendly neighbors, you get constant surveillance. Instead of community spirit, you get suspicion. Ask yourself, is this the freedom you worked for all your life, or does it feel more like a prison with pretty landscaping? Before you buy, walk around the community without a sales guide. Listen to how residents talk. Are they relaxed, or are they whispering about rules and fines? Look at the bulletin boards. Are they filled with friendly events, or are they loaded with warnings and reminders? These small clues reveal the culture, because in retirement, you deserve freedom, not a set of invisible chains. Truth 7. Social isolation and cliques. When most people think about moving into a 55-plus community, they imagine instant friendships. Neighbors waving, block parties, book clubs, group trips, laughter echoing from the clubhouse. The promise is that you will never feel alone. But here's the hidden truth. For many residents, social life in these communities feels less like connection and more like high school all over again. Let me share a story. Elaine, a widow in her late 60s, moved into what she thought would be her fresh start. She was looking forward to making friends, joining activities, and feeling part of something again. On her first week, she attended a card game at the clubhouse. People were polite, but no one invited her to join their group. She tried a different activity, morning yoga, but the same cliques already had their spots. After a few months, Elaine felt like an outsider in a place that was supposed to welcome her. She told me, "I thought I was buying into community, but I ended up buying into loneliness." This happens more often than you might think. A study by AARP found that nearly 45% of residents in age-restricted communities reported feeling socially isolated, despite being surrounded by people. Why? Because having people nearby does not guarantee belonging. Groups form quickly, gossip spreads fast, and if you do not fit the main interests, whether it is golf, bridge, or pickleball, you may find yourself on the outside looking in. The painful part is that isolation in older age is not just about feelings. It has real health consequences. Loneliness has been linked to higher risks of depression, cognitive decline, and even heart disease. We often talk about eating well and exercising in retirement, but staying socially connected is just as important for long-term health. Yet some communities, instead of fostering inclusion, accidentally create barriers. Another layer is politics and personal beliefs. In a tightly knit, age-restricted environment, differences can become sharp. Neighbors argue, divide into groups, and the stress of social conflict makes some people retreat further into isolation. Instead of comfort, the community becomes a source of anxiety. Now, not every experience is negative. Some people thrive in these settings. They find friends who share their hobbies and values. But the point is this: the glossy brochure promises automatic friendship, and that is simply not true. Belonging is not guaranteed just because you are the same age as your neighbors. So what should you do before moving in? Visit the community multiple times. Attend an event if possible, not just a tour. Watch how people interact. Are residents open and welcoming, or do they stick tightly to their groups? Ask questions. How easy is it to start a new club or activity? What happens if you are not interested in the most popular hobbies? Truth 8. Paying for amenities you do not use. Let us end with something that sounds small at first, but becomes a constant irritation over time. It is the money you pay for amenities you may never use. Those glossy brochures love to show sparkling swimming pools, shiny gyms, golf courses, tennis courts, even billiard rooms and craft studios. It all looks amazing. But here is the secret. You are paying for every single one of those amenities, whether you step foot in them or not. I once joked with a retiree in Virginia who told me, "I feel like I am sponsoring a golf tournament I never watch." He had never played a single round, but his monthly fees kept the course trimmed, watered, and ready for someone else's tee-off. Another woman laughed as she described how she paid $400 a month to support a clubhouse where she never ate dinner. She said, "I prefer my kitchen and my own recipes. Why am I paying for someone else's bingo night?" Now, let us be fair. For some people, these amenities are wonderful. They swim every morning, they play pickleball until sunset, and they thrive on organized events. If that is your lifestyle, then maybe the fees feel worth it. But the problem is, life changes. At 65, you may love the gym. At 75, your knees may disagree. At 80, you may prefer quiet evenings at home, yet the fees do not stop. They only go up. Think about it this way. Imagine going to a restaurant every single month, paying the bill, and never touching the food. After a while, you would feel cheated, right? That is exactly what happens with unused amenities. You are funding a lifestyle that may not even be yours. The average HOA fee in a 55-plus community ranges from $300 to $500 a month, and that is in addition to taxes, insurance, and maintenance inside your own home. Over 10 years, that adds up to tens of thousands of dollars. Money that could have gone toward travel, hobbies, or simply spoiling your grandchildren. One couple I met eventually moved out after realizing that 90% of their social life happened outside the gates. They preferred local restaurants over the clubhouse cafeteria, community theater over the bingo hall, and family visits over scheduled social nights. Their words were sharp. We were paying for someone else's fun, and it drained both our wallet and our patience. So before you buy, be brutally honest with yourself. Will you actually use the pool? Do you really enjoy golf? Or are you just dazzled by the brochure? Will the amenities still matter to you in 5, 10, or 15 years? Do not let the sparkle blind you. Amenities should enhance your life, not become another bill you resent each month. Retirement is about freedom, and that includes the freedom to spend your money on what brings you joy. Do not sign up to fund a lifestyle that belongs to your neighbor, but not to you. Because at the end of the day, paradise should never feel like paying rent for someone else's vacation. Choose freedom, not regret. We have walked together through 8 hidden truths behind the gates of 55-plus communities. We have seen how healthcare is often too far away, how hidden financial traps can drain savings, how promises of forever homes can fade when aging makes daily life harder, and how even family visits can be restricted by rules. We uncovered the challenge of selling, the loss of privacy, the sting of isolation, and the frustration of paying for amenities you never use. These are not just stories from a brochure. They are real experiences from people who believed they had found paradise, only to discover obstacles they never imagined. And if you are planning your retirement, you deserve to know the whole picture, not just the polished side. Because this is your life, your health, your money, and your happiness. Now here is the good news. Retirement can still be everything you dreamed it would be. There are communities that truly value freedom. There are neighborhoods with mixed ages where children's laughter fills the streets, urban areas with hospitals, culture and restaurants close by, and even smaller towns that offer charm without heavy restrictions. You do not have to accept a lifestyle that does not fit you. You can design a retirement that feels authentic, joyful, and free. So, what should you do next? Take time. Visit communities more than once. Ask hard questions, not only of sales reps, but also of the people already living there. Drive the roads to the nearest hospital. Read the HOA rules carefully. Picture yourself not just today, but 10 or 20 years from now. Will this place still bring you comfort and joy? And then remember this: retirement is not just about finding a house. It is about creating a life. A life where you are free to spend your days the way you want, surrounded by the people you love, without fear of surprise bills or rigid rules. You have earned that freedom. You deserve it. If what you heard today has sparked questions, share your story in the comments. Your voice might help someone else make a wiser choice. And if you want more guidance, more honest talk about retirement life, subscribe and stay connected here. We are a community, not behind gates, not limited by rules, but bound together by care, wisdom, and experience. Your golden years should shine, not fade behind restrictions. Choose wisely. Choose freedom, not regret.